So, yeah, TheraminTrees, another YouTuber, he has this idea from his therapy work, because he works as a therapist, that the subconscious is sort of a hack job idea for therapists or psychiatrists or what have you. Psycho people, they're all the same. Psychologists, therapists, psychiatrists, whatever. His idea is that abuse victims, people who've been domestically abused, do not, in fact, subconsciously seek out their abusers. Because that's sort of the common idea, is that on a subconscious level, they seek out their abusers, and that's why they keep getting abused over and over again, right? And it's not to do so much it's not to do so much with them, in his theory, with that they're subconsciously seeking out the abusers. It's to do with the abusers seeking them out. He says that they have certain traits, vulnerabilities, things that have happened to them in their life that make them visible prey of sorts to abusers. And so the abusers come after them over and over again. And he says that one of the horrible side effects of this idea in therapy is that it leads to abuse victims sort of being questioned by their own therapist, by the people they're seeking out to help them, as to like what's going on in their subconscious that's making them seek out abusers, right? So like, picture this, picture the emotion of this. You've been abused, okay, and you go and you seek help and you seek a therapist. You've been abused multiple times, probably at this point, right? Multiple abusive relationships. And your therapist is like, you know what the problem is? It's you. There's something deep inside of you that makes you want to be abused. Let's get to the bottom of that, shall we? Let's dig through your childhood. Let's try to find some root trauma that explains why you want to be abused. It's a little fucked up, actually. Right? It's a little fucked up to do that to somebody. And for TheraminTrees, it's not just fucked up, it's authoritarian. It presumes that there is a simple sort of a way to tell someone else what's going on in their head. You know, the therapist could come up now with the theory, you know, and if you say, no, doc, I don't think that's it, they could say, well, but you wouldn't know if it were. It's your subconscious, right? The subconscious in therapy and in treatment, in his view, creates this power that the therapist now has over the subject to tell them what's secretly going on inside their brain, and they can't say no, it's not, because they don't know. It's a lot like gaslighting, but you're being gaslit psychiatrically or psychologically. You're being professionally gaslit. Professionally gaslit. And there are a lot of areas in life where I feel like this subconscious-conscious divide pops up. It pops up in politics a lot, right? I've talked before about how the irrational side of yourself tends to go hand in hand with authoritarian policies, right? Like arguments that emphasize this idea that there's an irrational part of us tend to go hand in hand with, if not authoritarian, then collectivist sort of policy. Really anything in which somebody outside of a given individual uses authority to save that individual from themselves. You know, the binding of Ulysses. That is usually precursored, or prefigured, I should say, by an argument to do with your subconscious. Oh, these gambling addicts. The reason we should prevent gambling addicts from doing gambling stuff is because of their subconscious desires, right? If they were fully conscious and rational, then yeah, they can make whatever choices they want, but they're not being fully conscious and rational. And so the debate becomes about human nature, right? The debate is really about how rational are you really? Can you be trusted to make these decisions for yourself? And if it turns out that you can't be trusted to make these decisions for yourself, that's a point in favor of having somebody else make these decisions for you via policy. So this pops up in politics, but it also pops up a lot in your personal life. Sometimes. For example, I think I've mentioned before in a previous video, but I'm gonna say it more. I'm gonna flesh out a little bit more here. I think men are often told what we subconsciously, secretly want. I say like, I want sex. And somebody else says, no, you want love. You just don't know it. You just don't know what you want. You secretly want love, okay? And I'm like, well, sure, I guess I want love. But that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about wanting sex. And why do I have to? Why do I have to want love? Why are you making me want love? Why is it important to you that I want the thing you need me to want? Or how about you say you want love, and they say, well, actually, secretly, what you want is to talk about your feelings. What you want is to talk about your feelings, because as a man, you've been socialized by a patriarchal society to not be allowed to talk about your feelings. You're not allowed to talk about your feelings. So the only time you're allowed to talk about your feelings is when you're in a romantic relationship with a woman. So really, on a deep level, you just want to talk about your feelings. Subconsciously, you want to talk about your feelings, but this is erupting into you believing that what you want is a romantic relationship. But I know better than you. You just want to talk about your feelings, right? And I can't tell you how many times, over and over again in my life, I've had to have long, bewildering conversations with people wherein I explain that I, in fact, do talk about my feelings already to lots of people, men and women alike. And that is, in fact, not why I want a relationship. I want a relationship because everyone wants a relationship for normal human fucking reasons. These are on the way up, actually.